Okay. So I posted in the chat of this class, it's a blessing for Pesach and from the Rebbe, and it says, greeting and blessing on the occasion of the forthcoming Yom Tov Pesach. I send you my prayerful wishes at the festival of our freedom. Bring you and yours true freedom, freedom from anxiety, material and spiritual, from anything which might distract, from serving God wholeheartedly and with joy, and to carry over this freedom and joy into the whole year. Okay, so welcome, ladies. So here there's sheets for everybody. There's here. So right now the Rebbe is telling us that Pesach is much more. One second, let me give you the other also. Pesach is much more than just not eating chametz. Spiritually.
Yes, I have.
Huh? You have that? Okay, okay, fine. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay. Here. Here you go. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Okay. So it's telling us that, we are physical beings, but we're also spiritual beings. And how do we influence the spirit? It's through the physical. How do we influence the physical? It's through the spiritual. And this is what we're going to see in Pesach. Okay. So the other sheet that I posted also in the WhatsApp group, this is by Rabbi Yossi Jacobson. I have not seen anything better than this in many, many years. This is like amazing. He's an eminence in Torah. And it really tells us that the Pesach Seder is going to be a series of 15 steps, being the number 15. Each number has an inner meaning, a spiritual meaning in the Torah. Like one is Hashem, one is perfection, one is God. Creation, the creation is the number 2, because Bereshit, the first word in the Torah is bet, which means here there's always a duality. There's heaven and earth, there's God and man, there's the infinite, there's the finite, there's yes and no, chocolate and vanilla. It's like everything, there's always a choice, and there's two paths always. So the number 15 is the number for transformation, for if you will, metamorphosis. How a little larva becomes a beautiful butterfly. It sheds its reality of being a larva, of crawling, of being little brown and swiggly in the ground, and it grows into this beautiful, colorful butterfly that has wings and can fly. So it's a transformation. So too for us. The Pesach Seder is a 15-step program of how to activate this transformation. The whole story in Egypt. We were slaves in Egypt, and then Hashem took us out. Now we're free people. So if we look at the 15 steps of the Seder, we start with slavery. We start talking about lechem oni, this bread of affliction, the bread of poverty, this broken matzah. The stories of Lavan who tried to kill us, our patriarchs were idolaters, all the past. And then we finish the Seder opening the door to Eliyahu Navi. Why Eliyahu Navi? Because Eliyahu Navi will be the one that will usher in, with blowing of the shofar, the era of Mashiach. He's going to be announcing, we have our alarm clock that wakes us up in the morning. Right? So Eliyahu Navi is going to wake us up and tell us a new era came in. Okay, so the 15-step program is how to go from one reality to the next. It's also much deeper than that, because if we take each holiday each Hag, each Yom Tov, is Hashem infusing us with a certain energy for the whole year. And Purim was the activation of the Jewish soul, right? Queen Esther saying, I'm going to go to the king, and if I die, I die, which means I'd rather die as a Jew than live my existence as a non-Jew, which means and that happened to the whole Jewish people. In that whole year of the Haman decree, not one Jew converted. And the activation of the Jewish soul was so strong that's even recorded that non-Jews converted to Judaism in that year, which is it's unfathomable, right? But because Purim is the activation of the Jewish neshama, the Jewish soul. It's, yes, I feel something, I am something, I am part of God, and I want to live as a Jew. So I was thinking of this example. Let's say there's a car, right? Often little children, what do they want? They want to sit in the driver's seat, right? They feel so empowered, right? Just sitting they're not doing anything. They don't even know how to turn it on, right? We're all children, 100%. We're all children. But just being in the car, it's a whole illusion of what it is to drive. But the child doesn't even know how to drive. The child doesn't even know how to turn on the car, right? Okay. The child in the car, that's us in our body. Okay. We came to this world and we are like the child in the car. Now, when the adult gets into the car and it turns on the engine, igniting the engine, right? And you hear that zoom, and you see how powerful this amazing car is, like the power. That's Purim. The ignition is, whoa, I have a Jewish neshama. It is there, it's powerful. I wanna be in sync with it. And it's so interesting. Sorry. This week, I have a trainer in weights. And I've been doing weights many years. And I still haven't gotten to the point where I can transfer energy from the earth, from the floor, that when you stand up, you should transfer that energy from the floor all the way up in your arms. Like, I still I haven't found that, okay? But it is possible. And he's trying to tell me how a person has to discover their body, how the little toe really is connected even to your fingers, right? Like, how do we do that? Because I can't really feel it. We are a body in a soul. How do we connect? How do we feel this infinite, this divine energy in us, and how we can connect it to our body, and it's really one, right? This is a whole discovery. So Purim is igniting the car. Purim is discovering I have a Jewish neshama, right? What is Pesach? Pesach is, now I can press the accelerator. Now I'm going somewhere. Because the car is not just to, right? You're not going anywhere. It's just amazing power. But the power is there to go. The car is designed to go, right? Is that what the car is? Because we have a house. In my house, I don't have to go anywhere. I have my bed, I have my kitchen. I don't have to go anywhere. But a car is for transportation, yes? Okay. Hashem put us, divine soul, in an animal soul, in a body, to go from stage to stage. That is the activation in Pesach. How? That's why, the whole story, we were slaves and now we're free. We're saying about the metamorphosis of a butterfly, right? A larva, and then becomes a beautiful flying butterfly. It's go to the next level, right? And we see that in our lives. I mean, we know that from children, little babies, right? Little babies. I love when little babies are born. I love to look at their non-existent eyelashes, right? Like they're born without eyelashes. They're born without eyebrows. And like every day I look at it and it's like, a little teeny, oh, it has grown a little bit, right? And the next day, a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. And it's like, it's so wonderful because you see how this is evolving, right? Not only that, first, they just lay in the bed. Then we call our mom, Mom, the baby rolled over, Mom, right? Everybody, yeah, pictures. And then, Mom, they lifted up their head, Mom, they lifted their, yeah, right? And then they sat. Oh my God, they sat. Oh, they climbed on the crib, they stood up, right? And then, come, I'm gonna teach you how to crawl. And I know when I taught my children how to crawl, it's like you put this, right? Go for it. And then as they come in closer, what do? You move it back. Come on, a little bit more. Come on, a little bit more, a little bit more. Each day, a little bit more, right? And then when they can crawl well, what do? Now we're gonna teach them how to walk. And the first step, pictures, party, you get a candy, everything, right? And then another step. And now come, and now walk, and now the stairs, one step, and now run, and now swim, and now horseback ride, and now fly. We instinctively know that the child has to go from stage to stage to stage to stage to stage. Has v'shalom, the child is not picking up the head. Has v'shalom, time passes, and the child is not rolling over. What are we gonna do? We're gonna run to the doctor. Doctor, there's a problem. Doctor, solve my problem. There's a problem. The child is not rolling over. Come on. I have to get into the next step, right? Right? What do you think Hashem is looking down at us? Because we're a car. We're a machine. We're not a house. We're a machine. Hashem is looking down at us and say, I gave you all this potential. You are in a body. You have a soul. You have everything. I give you air. Let's go to the next level spiritually. Come on, let's go. Why did Hashem create a world? I always ask this. Like he could have made a world with just sunlight. Could have been a big, long, sunny day. Hashem can do anything. Why did Hashem make day and night? Day and night. What was the purpose? What was the purpose? And even the day, it like starts, we're opening up our eyes, and then midday we're full force, and then by nighttime, for me, nighttime is like 8 o'clock. And then we have to sleep, and then why did he do that? Hashem is telling us, today is amazing. Whatever you're gonna achieve today, amazing. But you know what? Tomorrow, you have to go to the next level. If you only achieve what you did yesterday, you're not moving. And that's why there's day and night. There's day and night, and a 1 week and another week and 1 year and another year, because Hashem is telling us, if my child is amazing, he won first place in 4th grade. Oh, the star student, but now he's in 6th grade and he stayed at that level. What's gonna happen? What? Come on, something. Let me take you, some therapist, something. You gotta go to the next level, right? Because good enough for yesterday is not good enough for today. Are we together? So I'll read you a little story. I think I also put it in the chat. I wrote this to my son Asher, my second son, on his bar mitzvah. Okay, I'll just read you a little bit. This it's extremely small and okay. It says, my dear child, if I can convey one very important principle to you, it is to continually challenge yourself. To challenge yourself. The only real competition in life is to compete with one with ourselves. Strive to be better, more knowledgeable, and I can't even read. Seek the ultimate truth in everything you do. Every second Hashem grants us in this world is a treasure to discover and maximize our own potential. We have to fight our own complacency. Complacency is what tells us, good enough. Good enough is good enough, right? And understand that we must challenge ourselves in order to constantly grow. We have a spark of Hashem in us, a real piece of infinity. Therefore, we are limitless. We have no bounds. The only limitations we have are imaginary shackles we place on ourselves. The whole story of Egypt, we were slaves and we became slaves voluntarily. Seek always to do Hashem's will. Touch the infinite in you and soar and keep on soaring. In the process, you will refine your nature and make of yourself a vessel for holiness. Reach out and touch another human being and make this world divine. Okay? So this is really what our sages tell us. This is what I really, really believe. The only competition is with yourself. And how do we activate that part in us that will press the accelerator, that won't stall? I won't be neutral. I won't say good enough is good enough. How can I keep that going? This is the energy of Pesach. And this 15-step program is exactly designed to activate that part of us. So in this Sefirot, right, which is the Sephira of this activation, which part of us is the one that makes us activate this? Well, it all is going to trickle down to Tiferet, but it starts in Chokhmah. Chokhmah is the right, is the first. Did you want to say it, Chokhmah?
Yeah, because it's the first one.
Yeah, okay. So Chokhmah is on the right side. It's the opening up, it's the pressing of the accelerator, it's the opening up to the unknown. Because if I already know everything, then I'm not gonna go to the next level. What for? If I already have what I have, know what I know, do what I do, I don't have to go anywhere, right? But this thirst, this constant thirst for the next level, something new, something exciting, something more, this comes from our Chokhmah. Now the Chokhmah requires humility, because I don't know it all. Because I don't know it all, then I'm seeking something more. That's why the 4 questions in the Seder. That's why all that we do in the Seder, we stand up, we lean, we don't lean, we wash with a blessing, we wash without a blessing, we stand up, all these things. Now we open the door, now we sit down, now it's to wake up this curiousness, this thirst. Why is this night different from all other nights? What's different? The Chokhmah is the koach of ma, is the power of the unknown. And this is, we all have Chokhmah. We all have it. Sometimes our Chokhmah is a little bit dormant. Sometimes our Chokhmah is not very activated. Some people have a lot of Chokhmah. Some people need something new every second, new friends, new challenges, new book, new music, new something to eat, new trips. There's some people that have like a lot of Chokhmah, and we all have it. But sometimes it's like, just give me the meat and potatoes. I don't want to. So it's not, it's not so bad when it's in food. But what happens when spiritually we are not seeking more? Okay, all right. So, used to what you have is called complacency. All right. So that's why we're cleaning out. Now we're cleaning for Pesach, right? What is the cleaning for Pesach? because I have to know, how could I want something new if I don't know what's already not working, right? I have to understand. Like I was cleaning last night my pantry. I took out my whole pantry, and not only cleaning for dirt, but it gives you a chance to think, maybe this is not, I'm not utilizing the space to the max. So I changed around some things. I took out some things from my other cubbies. I put it there. I had, and I said, wow, I never thought about it before. The same space, it could be utilized in a different way, right? And you maximize utility. And I'm sure if I look at it again tomorrow or the next year, or I'm going to think about something else, right? And life, that's also part of Chokhmah. It's like a different perspective, a different view. Let me go to the next level. Okay. All right. So this is from Yossi Jacobson. It's an amazing sheet. I hope everybody can see here. Okay. So first step, remember, now this is a 15-step program. We said 15 is the number for transformation. We're gonna go from slavery to freedom. We're gonna read the story of Egypt, and then we're gonna open up the door for Eliyahu Navi, so that represents freedom. Okay. Okay, so first, Kadesh. What is Kiddush? Kadesh is the Kiddush. Why do we do Kiddush on Shabbat and Yom Tov? What is the reason? The reason, for the wine, yeah. What is the reason for the wine? So the reason for the wine is that we're saying we're distinguishing a regular day, a secular day, a secular from the holy. Today is a holy day, right? Sanctification. What is to sanctify? It's the same thing as holy. What is to sanctify? To sanctify has the connotation of separate, right? 6 days we work, 6 days of the week. Shabbat is different because it's separate. There's 70 nations in the world, basic 70 nations. There's one Israel. Israel is like a lamb among the wolves. It's a separate, right? The Jewish nation, we're separate. When we separate something, we elevate it. Just because when we sanctify a woman in the chuppah, you are sanctified among the women of Israel, means you're not part of the bunch of women. You're my woman, you're my wife, therefore you're elevated. Now you have a bunch of grapes, but I choose this grape. This is the one I'm gonna eat. By separating it, we elevate it, okay? So I guess that's maybe the root of why Hashem hates idolatry so much. Because it's like putting him among all the other idols. It's like belittling him. He's separate. He's one. It's totally different. Okay. All right. So we do Kiddush because we're saying this day is different. It's separate. Every other day of the week, I have my breakfast here. You want to eat, you just eat. But when it's Shabbat or Yom Tov, we say, no, today is a holy day. Therefore, we are going to make a Kiddush. It's to sanctify the day. Okay. Now, in their book of here, let's see what Rabbi Jacobson says. Designate a space in your psyche that is sacred. So we have so many thoughts going in, right? So many worries, so many tensions. And it says, make sure you have a space in your psyche that is sacred, pure, innocent, curious, and childlike. Without this step, there is too much static in your life. to allow for real listening, introspection, and growth. So what is that? It's calling for mindfulness. No? I think he's calling for mindfulness. And I was listening, I don't know if it was Rabbi Ari Shishler that was saying the distinction of Shabbat or Yom Tov against all the other days of the week is that on the other days of the week I don't remember the word that he used, but we're always like going to the next
one step forward.
Yeah, but on Shabbat it's like just enjoy. It's like just be there, like the mindfulness of the day, right? Anyways, so also what happens when we take out all the static, we can actually make a space for our essence, our yechida, right? Our divine soul. All right. So in Rabbi Bogomilsky's book, the Dibarta Bam series, he says that the four cups represents the four matriarchs, right? And specifically, this first cup represents the matriarch Sarah. Sarai. Why? Why Sarah? Because Sarah and Abraham, they lived in an idolatrous world, which was secular, and they went out and taught people about Hashem, about holiness. So they taught people, Sarah taught people to separate the holy from the unholy. So the first cup that we're going to do in Pesach represents our matriarch Sarah. Okay. Also,
So Kadesh is Sarah.
Kadesh, the first.
Kadesh is Sarah.
Yes. Now, there's also a difference. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. There's also a difference between the Kiddush on Shabbat and Yom Tov and Pesach. What's the difference? The difference is that on Shabbat or Yom Tov, I can be Yotzi. I can be together with another person that's going to have me in mind, and I can join their Kiddush, right? But because Pesach, we said it's a transformation. It's an activation of my chokhmah. It's an activation of me. It's a transformation of me going from one level to the next. Therefore, on Pesach, each person must make their own Kiddush. Because whatever level you're going to next, it may not be my level. Whatever transformation you need to make in your life may not be mine. So I need to make my own activation. So Pesach is the only day in the year, the two Seders, that we need to make our own Kiddush, okay? We need to drink the 4 cups. Now, many years ago, Zalman Lipsker told me that there's a wine, it's called Rashi light wine. It's only 5% of alcohol. And ever since he told me, I've been able to drink the 4 cups of wine, okay? All right, there's a measurement of the cups, but I'm not a halachic authority, you can look that up, okay? All right, so that's Kadesh. Okay, 2, urchatz, washing of the hands. Okay, so urchatz, washing the hands. This time it's gonna be without a blessing. So it's so ironic, right? First, we get ready for Pesach, everybody, where am I sitting? Where is he sitting? You put little name tags and everything, and until finally, everything's ready on the table, and finally you sit down, and finally you make your Kiddush, and now you have to stand up, right? Okay. So right away, we're saying that everything in this Pesach Seder is to arouse the child in us to activate the Chokhmah. Why? Why is this night different, right? But urchatz, washing of the hands, here Rabbi Jacobson says, clean your hands from their involvement in uncleanliness. Cleanse your life from active lying, cheating, betraying, immoral relationships, destructive addictions, no liberation is possible without this step. So when a person can say to themselves, yeah, I want to go to the next level, I want to be a better person, yeah, or I want to eat better, I want to live better. But first, I have to stop doing that which is a negative in my life. Even the Tanya will speak about teshuva, when a person wants to change. That teshuva is in 3 parts. And there's teshuva in the past, teshuva in the present, and teshuva in the future. And teshuva in the past is, yeah, I want to become, I want to stop stepping on your foot. I'm going to stop stepping on your foot. Teshuva in the past, you know what? Don't just say it, like, get off my foot. Like stop doing that, which is a negative. So the first washing of the hands represents, actively taking out that which is a negative in my life. Okay, that's also part of the cleaning for Pesach. There's many things in our lives, we become accustomed to certain behaviors or things, represented by things in our house that are not good. They're taking up space, or it's just a negative thing, maybe not good books, or maybe, I don't know, whatever we have that is not a good thing. So that's part of the cleansing process. Now, this first cleansing is without a blessing, okay? And let's see what he says. Okay, so that's the urchas. And then we go to the third step, which is karpas. Karpas is eating a vegetable in salt water. So we've all heard the explanation why the vegetable in salt water. What is the salt water? The salt water represents the tears that we cried in Egypt, right? Okay, and that is true, but the Torah is true in many levels. So another level, and we're gonna see it here, it says like this: the vegetable growing low from the ground, on which we make a blessing, Boré Periadama, he created food from the ground, symbolizes the body. So Adam, the first man, is called Adam because Adama is earth. So Rabbi Jacobson is saying that when we eat the little vegetable, it should be a very small piece. It could be a potato, it could be a celery, whatever thing that it grows low on the ground. We are actually, this represents our physicality, our physical body. Okay, so the prerequisite for spiritual liberation is to recognize that your body and all of its dispositions are a means to an end. So what is it saying? It's saying that my physicality, it's not an end. Too many times we get caught up in the business, we get caught up in making money, we get caught up in our body, we get caught up in things, right? And right now it's gonna tell us everything physical, what we are, what we have, is not an end, it's a means for a higher purpose, right? It's a means. So that's why we're a body and a soul. It's not just a body, right? The prerequisite for spiritual liberation is to recognize that you're okay. They need to be submerged in the waters of inspiration and Torah. So that is the dipping of the karpas, of the vegetable in salt water. That is like bringing the body to a mikveh. So not only is a woman, when she goes to the mikveh, she is purified, but she's also elevated, because one arises out of the mikveh with holier thoughts. So water represents Torah, represents spirituality, and taking that vegetable and dipping it into the water represents me suffusing my life with a spiritual component. Look, I'm about teshuva. Okay. I have lived in the body, in this soul, without Shabbat, without kosher, without all this Torah, right? And once I discovered all this spirituality, I always sensed it, but I didn't know what it was. I said, I don't want to live without it because I love beautiful things. I love physicality, but it's so much more meaningful when all physicality is elevated, right? And I often give this example. When I was a little girl, my best clothes would be whenever we had a trip on an airplane, right? It's like you went, Emilia, this is way before your time, but when I was a little girl, people didn't travel so often on airplanes. So airplane, everybody would wear their best clothing for the airplane, right? Yes.
Like not like for a wedding, but like how?
No, like what we put on for Shabbat right now.
Really?
Yes, yes. People had their. That's why people had their fancy luggage, and people would wear their best. It was like you would go because it was very. Not everybody. It was very expensive. Not everybody got to go on an airplane. So it was a very privileged experience, and everybody was treated like in first class. That's how people should be treated, anyways.
Very proper always. Proper was the word, right?
Right, proper. So I
Yeah.
remember a little girl putting on the night before an airplane trip, my best clothing, my best shoes, the shiny patent leather, because I was gonna go on an airplane. So now it's very interesting for me because now I put my best clothing because it's gonna be Shabbat, because it's gonna be Yom Tov, right? Pesach is coming, right? I just, I was able to order some new clothes for Pesach, Baruch Hashem, right? And I'm so excited, like I'm really excited, like it's gonna be dedicated for Pesach. And I gave these shoes, brand new shoes, to my niece, and she's not wearing them. They're too small for her, but they're new. So I'm gonna ask her, please bring them to me. It's gonna be for me. So look, even the flowers I put on my table, for me, they're very meaningful because it's flowers, but they're there for a purpose. And the purpose is to be able to enjoy more the spirituality of the day. That's the vegetable dipped in the water. So going back to the second step, urchatz, that's also why we wash the hands without a blessing. Because in ancient times, people washed their hands not only when they ate bread, but anytime that they would eat a vegetable or fruit that was wet. And because we're gonna eat this vegetable that is wet with our fingers, so our fingers here, our impurity is in our fingers. Okay, so just like water transfers electricity, water transfers impurity. Okay, so that's why we wash. Now, why without a blessing? Because today, not all the Jewish people do this. So that's why we do it without a blessing. Okay. All right. So, okay. Do not allow your cravings and appetites to define you. You must define them. So we're saying we're physical and spiritual at the same time, but the physical can get out of hand. The physical comes from the animal soul, and it really is a powerful animal, and it can really dominate us. And that's the idea of submerging it in water. That's, Hashem always brings the antidote before the problem. So before he puts into us the animal soul, he already gave us the Torah, because the Torah is the blueprint for creation. So it precedes creation. So he's saying, take your animal, go study Torah, and now Make sure that everything that your animal is gonna do, first check in with the Torah. First, make sure that it has a Torah. That's why before we eat, we say a blessing. That's the whole idea, because eating is something animalistic. But when we say a blessing, we're delaying our gratification. So it's like, oh, first I have to check in, first of all, that it's kosher. And then by saying the blessing, I am submerging my animal into water. See? So everything becomes purposeful. Okay, do not allow your cravings and appetites to define you. You must define them. Do not allow them to take you hostage, but see them as a means for your journey. They are here to be defined and explained by you. Okay? All right, so now we go to Yachatz, breaking the middle matzah. I'm gonna go here. Just like, maybe I think it's a repetition for you from yesterday. Okay. No, you can teach the class. Okay, so the 4 cups represents the 4 matriarchs, and the 3 matzot represents the 3 patriarchs, right? Matzots are the 3 patriarchs. So what are the 3 patriarchs? It's Abraham, Isaac, so we call Pesach Passover. Pesach has many, many names. One of the names is Passover because we're recognizing that in the 10th plague, Hashem jumped over the houses of the Jews. While he was killing the firstborns Egyptians, right? He saved the firstborns Jews. That's why we do also. That's why all the firstborns really belong to Hashem, and that's why the Pidyon of them. We really belong to Hashem. He saved us. So, what does the Torah call Pesach? The Torah calls Pesach the festival of our freedom, right? It says festival of our freedom. Freedom. And it calls it the festival of the Matzot. Why freedom? Because we were slaves and then we were free people, okay? But the Talmud also says that there's no freedom to a Jew as a Jew that is dedicated to Torah. As what we said before, when the physicality has taken over us, then we are a slave to our cravings. So even though we think, oh, I'm doing just whatever I want, it's not really true because we have a divine soul, there's no freedom inside unless the divine soul can be the one that really expresses itself. And the divine soul is in tune with the Torah. It reads Torah. It wants to talk about Torah. It wants to do Torah. Okay? So festival of our freedom, but festival of the Matzot. Why the Matzot? Because it says that we followed Hashem into the desert just with a little bit of matzah in our hands. Right? Now it's crazy. Really, really, it's crazy. Look, I came from my house, and then after here, I'm gonna go food shopping. So I'm not gonna be in my house for another 2 hours. So I need to eat my breakfast. And I have my food and I have my water, right? 2 hours. How long are we gonna go to the desert? We didn't know. I had my little children and my parents. I had my babies. I had, they were old people. They were young people. There were so many people. What are we gonna feed them? Logically, it makes no sense, right? By logic, it makes no sense to just go with a few matzahs in our hand. How much can we cook? How much could we carry? And we don't even know. We didn't even know it was going to be 40 years. We didn't even know if it was like 3 days. We don't know, right? Festival of Matzot means Hashem is saying, you believe in me. You followed me. You followed me in the desert just with matzot. So the matzot represents to Hashem love. We love you, Hashem. Not only love, bitachon. We have faith in you. Food of faith. The matzah is called food of faith. It's called food of healing. Okay. And yesterday I said I heard somebody told me an amazing explanation of bitachon versus faith. So there's a man that wants to walk on a tightrope between two skyscrapers in New York, and faith is somebody in the audience telling them, I know you can do it. I have faith in you. Yes. I know you can do it. Go for it. Yes. What is bitachon? Bitachon is, I'm going to get on your shoulders while you're doing it. That's bitachon. Faith is, yes, I know you can do it. It's an intellectual belief. Bitachon is no doubt. Huh? Of course. Of course.
People, yourself, everything.
100%.
Sometimes in God.
Emilia, I want to tell you something. Yesterday, my trainer made me lift this weight. I was carrying it here. It was like very heavy. And I said to my trainer, it hurts here. He says, you have just found your chest muscles. Yes. Today, I wanted to do the same exercise. I couldn't. It hurts here. I didn't know I had these chest muscles. Look, I touched them and they hurt. We have bitachon. We have it. We are made with bitachon. We need to discover it. We need to activate it. We need to use it. Perhaps everything that's happening in the world right now is so I can activate our bitachon. We need to activate our bitachon. How else can we live right now? Right? So, Pesach, you know what? If somebody wants to work on their faith and bitachon, on the 2 Seder nights, eating the matzah, the quantity of matzah, and the right kind of matzah on the Seder is like imbibing a vitamin of bitachon that has long lasting for 365 days. And to take care not to eat anything leaven for those 8 days of Pesach. And that Hashem is guaranteeing us. Hashem is a doctor, right? In the Torah it says, I am your doctor. He is giving us a prescription. This is a prescription. The 15 steps, this is a prescription from the doctor. I go into my Pesach Seder, I've said it many times in my classes, like I'm going to surgery. No, I really believe it. I really believe it. I think it's a surgery of the soul. Hashem will perform surgery in our soul. It has a 15-step program. You go into surgery, there's many steps. First, you have to clean, then you make an incision, then you have to put apart the things, then you have to this and then you have to suture. There's many steps. This is really a 15-step program for our soul. And why the matzah? Because matzah, like the shofar. The shofar was, Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son for Hashem. And Hashem said, no, don't do it anymore. I know you love me. Don't do it anymore. I know you believe in me. All right. So he took the ram and the horn, and every time we blow the horn, Hashem, it's like as we are willing to sacrifice ourselves for him. The matzahs reminds Hashem, and it's a reminder for us. We have bitachon. We will follow you wherever you tell us. We will go. We will go with you wherever you tell us. And I told my class yesterday, this year, some years, when I clean for Pesach my house, I have a housekeeper or two housekeepers, and we do it, they clean, and then I check, and they will do, and it flows, and it's great, right? And this year, by the time I got around to cleaning, nobody was going to be with me. And I had to tell myself, you know what? Hashem, you are coming with me. I said, Hashem, you are going to be my partner. We're going to do this together. And I was even laughing. I'm telling you, I was at night, and everything's flowing. This is great. We're doing it. But Hashem wants us to do that. He's here. He wants us to have a relationship with him. And he's the partner that wants us to succeed. And he's like, that book of bitachon. He's the only one that can really guarantee our success if that's what he wants. Right? Anyways, okay. So the matzot, food of faith, it's food of bitachon. It's a festival of matzot. Okay. The 3 matzot in the Seder. Okay. So not only are Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, but they also represent the 3 categories in the Jewish people, which is Kohen, Levi, and Israel. Okay, so Robert Bogomilsky in his book Vedivar Tabam says that if you take the 3 first letters of Kohen, Levi, and Israel, you get the word Kli. Kli. What is Kli? It's a vessel. We are creating a vessel for receiving all these blessings from Hashem. So we have said it in other classes, right? That Pesach is big revelations, miracles coming from heaven down to earth, right? And 6 months from now, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah, where we are going to blow the shofar, and this is man trying to get closer to his creator. But right now, this is the time of the year where we're going to receive. We're going to receive from him. And we said everything that happens here in 6 months in Rosh Hashanah, this is conception. And this is materialization. It's going to materialize in potential. It's like a baby's going to be born. This is our books open on Rosh Hashanah. It's going to happen to us. But the conception is here. So what do we want? Especially Pesach night. They say that there's so many lights coming down, so many blessings coming down from heaven that we need to make a keli. Yeah.
I just remember.
Oh, okay.
What was way in the bottom on the corner? Material.
Materialize and potential. Okay. So we have said the story of the widow of Ovadia, right? We've said that story many times. It's a Haftorah. Ovadia, a very wealthy man, lived in the times when the Queen Jezebel was killing off all the prophets of Israel. Ovadia hid all the prophets in the caves in the mountains in Israel, spent all his money feeding them and maintaining them until he ran out of money. Then he borrowed money to still maintain the prophets. Then Ovadia dies. Then the people that had lent him the money, the lenders, they came to collect the money from the widow, and she doesn't have the money. So in those times, if a person couldn't pay their debts, they would take their children as slaves. And so they want to take her 2 children as slaves. And she says, 1 second, let me go to the prophet. She goes to the prophet and says, it's really not fair. My husband spent all his money feeding and hiding all the prophets of Israel. Why should my children go as slaves? And he said to her, what do you have in the house? She says, we have nothing to eat. We're totally destitute. And she says, we only have a little jar of oil. And then the prophet says, go borrow vessels, all the ones that you can, and then close the door and pour the oil into the vessels. So what happened when she closed the door, from the little jug of oil, she was able to fill all the vessels, right? Question is, what would have happened if she would have more vessels? She would have been able to fill more vessels. What stopped the oil from flowing was that there were no more vessels. Then she went to the prophet and said, I've already filled all the vessels. And then he said, now go to the market and sell it. By the time she got to the market, in the stock market, the price of oil had gone very, very high. And she was able to live comfortably the rest of her life from that. Okay, that is a story that explains to us the concept of lights and vessels. Pesach night is a night in the year of very, very high light. Hashem is like compared also to the oil, and Hashem, his nature is chesed rabba, is to give big time. He wants to give. The only thing that he needs from us is from us to make a vessel. That's why we're cleaning for Pesach. If my cubby is full, if my closet is full, I can't receive something new. If my head is full, if I'm full of myself, then there's no space for Hashem and there's no space for something new. That's the idea of cleansing, of taking away the old to make space for the new. Okay, so Kaylee is with these 3 matzot. And when I learned this concept, it also says, optimally, for the leader of the Seder, we should choose the best round matzot that are concave, because you want the kli to be as big and concave as possible. And I told the story yesterday, one year when I had already learned this, right before starting the Seder, everybody was sitting on a table. And I don't know why, I wanted to peek under the matzot. And when I peeked, to my horror, there was one piece of the matzah missing. And I screamed out, like, who ate the matzah? And the lady said, I ate the matzah. I said, why did you eat the matzah? She said, because I was hungry. So I told my husband, just hold on. I went, I chose, took out more of the boxes of matzah and chose another one, concave and round. Okay. So, but if we read this, Rabbi Mogunutsky says, if we read the word Kaylee backwards, what do we have? We have the Hebrew word yelech. And the Hebrew word yelech means to go. As we said in the beginning of the class, Purim was to find the ignition in the car. Pesach is to push the accelerator. So yelech is that ability to go from one meta, ¿cómo se dice meta? One goal, thank you. One goal to another goal to another goal. Okay. Okay. So where are we in the yahats? Are we yahats now? No. Yes. Okay. So these are the 3 matzot, and because we're making the vessel, we want to make the best vessel possible. That's why, at least for the Seder, we should have shmura matzah, because shmura matzah has been dedicated since the time of the, what do you call it? The cutting of the wheat has been dedicated, or spelt, or whatever you eat, has been dedicated to this mitzvah. And even the bakers are saying in the factories, this is a mitzvah matzah. This is a mitzvah matzah. Okay. So now Hashem asked us, we took the 3 main, most beautiful matzot for the leader of the Seder. And then yachatz, it's breaking the middle matzah, which is very, very odd. I'm telling you, I take at least half an hour to choose the best matzahs for this. Why is Hashem not telling us now break the middle matzah? This one is going to be broken. Why do we break it? Because when we make a vessel of ourselves, when we say, okay, fine, I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna go to this goal. This is my goal for today or for my life or for this year. And we say, okay, up to here I can reach. And then Hashem says to us, you know what? Break yourself. Break yourself because you have a piece of me, you have a piece of divinity, and you really are infinite. So we're constantly putting, we leave Egypt and we go into the desert and we're, oh yeah, Hashem is with us, oh great. And then when we see the Egyptians coming after us, what happens? Then we're like, oh, I want to go back home. I want to go back to Egypt. I want to rather die. Why? We break out of one mind of thinking, and then we go and we become slaves to another mind of thinking, right? Each goal we think, okay, up to here, I can't do more. So the breaking of the matzah is break that limitation that you have put on yourself and tap into that divinity, because divinity is more than the infinite. We really can go more. When a mommy has one child and then she's pregnant, what does the little brother worry? How can my mommy love me after she has another baby? Like, where is she gonna be able to love me? She has no time anymore. She ends up the day so tired just with me. How is she gonna have any energy for her? What happens? Another child comes. Love grows, right? What I thought I didn't have time, I have more time. What is it saying? How does the saying go? When you need something done, ask a busy person, right? They're already busy. So how could they still have a place for something more? Because we really are limitless. That's the breaking of the matzah. Okay. Now remember, everything that happened to the Rebbe, in the Rebbe, even if he would lift his hand, people would, he lifted his hand. No, he looked at somebody. Oh, he looked at somebody. Like, everything meant something, right? So too in the Pesach Seder. Each of the steps means something very, very deep. Okay. All right. Yachatz. Rabbi Jacobson says, humility, vulnerability is the message of this fourth step. Why? Because when we feel whole, right, we feel like Superman. And then some trauma happens, something doesn't go our way. It's like we feel broken, right? You must have people in your life with whom you are completely open, honest, and vulnerable. The fake sense of I am whole is the greatest obstacle to genuine liberation, right? So to know that, no, we are broken. The Rebbe says there's no perfection in this world. There's only broken pieces. And the best that you can do is to put them together as best as you can. Now, another message from Yachatz, very, very beautiful, is that the small piece becomes lechem oni. Lechem oni is what? The bread of poverty, or the bread of affliction, of poverty. Okay? And the big piece becomes the afikoman. So lechem oni is the bread that we're going to recite the Haggadah, because we're going to recite the story of we were slaves in Egypt, Lavan tried to kill us, our patriarchs were idolaters, so many things. And because a poor man doesn't have anything whole, not even whole clothes, not even whole shoes. They have, their toast is old bread. They don't have everything whole. Okay, so this broken piece becomes the bread of poverty, yet this big piece becomes the afikoman. And what is the afikoman? What does the afikoman represent? The afikoman represents Mashiach. Okay, this represents Mashiach. That's why it's called the dessert. Okay, afikoman represents Mashiach. So, you know, Hashem is in the opposite, but Hashem has a sense of humor. How could the same matzah, one piece represents bread of poverty, and one piece represents Mashiach? It's not even two pieces of matzah, it's one. Right? How could it be? So, a beautiful lesson from here. Hashem is telling us that every brokenness we have, every trauma we have, every time we fall, it's really an opportunity for growth. I know one of my children, right? My son that was suspended from university, and right now is going through that. It's a challenge. And my rabbi, Yeshua Rosenfeld from Colombia, he said to me on the phone just the other day, he said, you know, Vivian, one day your child is going to look back on this and know that it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Once again, I was suspended from university. I can't graduate with my friends. I can't graduate. I had all my dreams, you know. So one is the trauma, but another one, we don't know how this experience is going to take us and show us a different perspective. And perhaps it's going to say one day is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. So Hashem is telling us it's just the same thing. The same thing. Either we're going to look at the negative or we're going to be at the positive, but it's us. What do we do with it? And that's the growth. That's also the transformation. Okay, so, all right, I think I'll stop here. Okay, and I hope we're going to finish this next week also. Okay, so I hope to see you. Rita, I hope you enjoy.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian.
Okay, con gusto. I posted it on the chat.
I already printed it out. Thank you.
Beautiful. Take care.
Bye.
Aloha.